Hi and welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be covering the basics around insurance premiums, so let's get started. Alright, so just as a general disclaimer, this information is general and just for educational purposes. My information is not specific to you. I don't know what type of insurance you are applying for. I don't know your individual circumstances or where you live and how that might potentially affect your insurance premiums. So again, this is just the basics. What is an insurance premium? So an insurance premium is an amount that an individual or entity pays in order to be considered insured. So typically it's paid periodically. So it could be paid monthly, it could be paid annually, it could be paid twice a year, or it could be paid quarterly. It all depends on the insurance policy that you decided to go for. How is your insurance premium calculated? Insurance premiums are calculated based on various factors, and these factors can include what type of insurance policy you're going for, what is happening in your current location. If it is a health insurance policy or a life insurance policy, it could be based off of your medical conditions, dependent on the type of insurance again. If you are covering an object, it could be based off of the value of the perceived item. The policyholder could also have a risk assessment. So for life insurance, if you are in a field that is considered risky, like a firefighter, or if you participate in sports or cliff diving, things that would be considered risky behaviors, then you might be put in a different risk category. Demographic too could also be a consideration, so your gender, your age. Claims history, so if you have a history of claims already filed, that could impact your insurance premium. And of course, the deductible amount, which if you don't know what that means, check out this video, as well as coverage limits, which is going to be the next video after this. Another thing that insurance companies use is what is called actuarial data. So this is a statistical model that forecasts the probability of an event occurring, how much that event would cost, how many claims that would be applicable within a time period, because again, the insurance company is there to make money, and so they want to make sure that their risk profiles is going to be lower than what they would have to pay, because otherwise they would be bankrupt really quick. And finally, an insurance company just does a risk assessment overall, and that is also again tied to who they have in their current portfolio, as well as what is happening in the areas around those that they have insured. Can you lower your insurance premium? So yes, there are several ways to potentially lower your insurance premium. One is by contacting your insurance company, and dependent on the type, there might be available discounts, such as being part of a specific group. There is sometimes a discount for multi-policies. So if you hold multiple different policy types within the same company, then generally there is a discount. For drivers, there's sometimes a safe driver discount. Also, you can always ask, but some insurance companies do have a discount for those who are military, those who are students, and those who are seniors. Additionally, other ways to affect your insurance premium could be adjusting your deductible. So generally having a higher deductible means your premium is lower. You can also potentially change your coverage limits. So if you have a lower coverage limit, then generally the premium should also be lower. Finally, another discount that not a lot of people think about is whether or not you pay your insurance in full. So instead of paying monthly, maybe you pay it for the year or a 6-month term. Generally, there is a discount attached to doing that, and that's because the insurance company has got your money up front. They have less processing fees because every time they process it, they pay a fee. Why did your insurance premium increase? So insurance premiums may increase due to inflation. It can also increase due to where you live, and if there is an increase in either events, so losses, or if there is an increase in crime, etc. If your neighborhood is now considered more risky, then you will be, unfortunately, most likely going to see an increase as well. Another thing is a change in risk factors. For a family who now just adds their teenager as a driver, well, your insurance premium is going to be a lot higher because your teenager is not going to have a history of being a good driver, and therefore they are the most risky in the eyes of the insurance company. So whenever you have a renewal, please make sure that you review those term sheets to see if there are any changes, or you can contact the insurance agent if you have one, or the insurance company overall to get an explanation. And I know that it sucks when you have no claims at all, but your insurance keeps going up. You just have to think about it this way. The insurance company insures lots of people, and there's going to be some people who are more riskier than others. So yes, unfortunately, you do have to pay for those more risky individuals. But if they were more expensive for the risky individuals and not for the safe drivers, then the risky individuals would not have insurance at all. Therefore, when you get hit by a risky individual who has no insurance, then you were going to pay through the nose, or the insurance company is going to pay through the nose in order to get that settled. But with more uninsured drivers overall, then coverage is going to go up even more for those who are good drivers. It's just easier to do it when you have more people to spread the risk. When do you need to pay your insurance premiums? Well, that kind of depends on your insurance policy and what type of payment you decided to go for. If it is monthly, then you pay monthly. If you decide to do annually, then it is annually. What is important is that you make sure that you pay that by its due date, or if you don't, ensure that you know what the grace period is. What happens if you do not pay your insurance premium on time? It is possible that you may have a lapse in insurance. They could terminate your insurance. You may have a grace period, but that is not always in all insurance policies cases, so make sure you understand. There are also some insurance policies that will offer you the ability to pay it plus a fee for like reactivating your insurance or doing it retroactively. So that is something that you have to pay attention to when you have or agree to a policy. Now, if you cannot pay due to some unforeseeable circumstance that you just weren't anticipating, it is important to call the insurer beforehand to see if there is a process or a plan that you can go on to that will keep you still insured in case something happens. Does insurance premiums vary between insurance companies for the same type of coverage? The answer is yeah, companies will differ, and that can be entirely due to the way that they do their underwriting process, which is how they evaluate risk, how strong their portfolio is, their company's own like individual numbers. So if they had a good year, they would have a bigger stockpile of money to pay out in case there are claims. And if they had a bad year, then unfortunately, as we have seen, some insurance companies are just pulling out of states or not covering certain brands of cars because there's just such an increase in that area or with those type of cars. Now, it is always a good idea to shop your rates in order to get an idea, but make sure when you are shopping your rates that you are doing an apples to apples comparison. So make sure that the coverage limits, the deductibles are all the same across the policies as you are evaluating it, because there's very often, especially when you just do it through like one of those online tools, that there are nuances that you're not paying attention to, and you may end up with a worse policy. Another thing that you could potentially do is contact an insurance broker. So this is an individual that has access to multiple insurance companies, and they will be better suited to find something that is within your budget, but also will take your needs into consideration. Can you change your insurance coverage to change your premiums? Yes, this was a question I answered earlier about how can you lower your insurance premiums. You can change your insurance coverage in a lot of different policies. Again, it's kind of dependent on what type of policy you have. Health insurance is kind of like a weird one, so there might not be a lot, or it may dependent on the insurance that you have, whether or not you are allowed to switch in the middle of the year. Again, there's a lot of different rules, and this is just a general video. The one thing I want you to consider when you are making these changes to your insurance coverage is that you are really weighing the trade-offs or the pros and cons of lowering your coverage in order to save your money. There might be a point where it doesn't make sense to lower it, or there may be a point where it does make sense to lower it. Only you can really tell that, but if you need help, try to contact your insurance agent if you have one, or again, look at what is going on within your own area and see what you are truly comfortable with paying if an accident happens. Will your insurance premium increase if you file a claim? So the answer is this depends on the type of insurance you have, and in some cases the type of claim that you make. Now, filing a claim in insurance cases where it is determined that you are at fault can increase your premium. In some cases, you may have a rider in your policy which forgives you with that first accident, and in that case your insurance premium would not increase, but you are paying for that rider. Now, if you can afford to pay that claim yourself instead of filing a claim, then you want to consider that, because you may potentially save more doing that instead of filing a claim and then having your insurance premium go up at renewal. So try to do the math if you can to figure out which is more beneficial in your situation. How often can your insurance premium change? Usually it is just tied at policy renewal. So when the policy term ends and then you renew it, that is when your insurance premium changes. But there are some policies where your premium never changes, but you only have a set number of years at that amount. One thing though is that your insurance policy overall can change. So while you're still making the same payment, there could be a change in policy with new exclusions or a change in the verbiage of the policy, which may or may not be beneficial for you. Sometimes insurance policies actually change for the better and will increase some coverage limits for certain scenarios, but oftentimes they include new exclusionary language which may affect your future claims. So make sure when you receive documentation about policy changes that you read it, and if you do not understand it, call them up and find out what it means. So yeah, that's the basics around insurance premiums. Again, I'm sorry, this was just general information. If you have more questions and they're general in nature, please drop them in the comments down below, and I am more than happy to answer them to the best of my ability. If I don't know the answer, I will try to search out and give you a way to find the answer. And as always, I am just here and happy to help. For those of you who are new to the channel, thank you so much for clicking on the thumbnail and joining me with this video. If you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a like. And if you have a friend who doesn't know about insurance premiums, consider sharing it with them. Now, my channel does these breakdowns of different financial topics on a weekly basis. So if that is something of interest, please consider subscribing. I also once a month will post about my own debt journey. So again, if that is something that you would potentially enjoy watching, consider subscribing. Now, for those of you who are returning and have been a subscriber or just like to tune into my channel and not subscribe, well, thank you for returning. Just your views is really helpful and impactful to me, at least. So thank you. I am just so happy that you are considering increasing your financial knowledge, because that is great, and I am just here to support you on your journey. So thank you again, and until the next video, bye.